Hey YouTube, this is your girl Alexandra Monet, and in this video we are going to hop into how to grow your natural hair with braids. Okay, this is something that I have been kind of working on and I'm really excited to share it with you all. So just know that this is based on my experience, my hair, but you know, I have been sharing a lot of natural hair growth tips that I have got a lot of positive feedback with. So if you haven't seen those videos, make sure you check that description box down below and check out how I grew my natural hair from bra strap length to waist length. And now I'm trying to work on, you know, maintaining healthy hair with a little bit of growth. So I have been trimming. I did a big chop not too long ago. So this is kind of the result. This growth is the result of not a big chop, but like a mini chop of my mini chop. So all those videos are in the description box below. Make sure you click them. Anyway, let's hop into this video. How to grow your natural hair in braids. Now, this is kind of piggybacking off of my old video, and the thesis and the essence of how to grow your natural hair is still the same. So when it comes to box braids, your hair is in a protective style. And I have said before so many times that protective styles do not grow your hair. So simply just having your hair in box braids is not gonna work. It's not gonna cut it. And you might be frustrated because you're like, oh my God, I had these box braids in for 2 months and I have not seen any growth. I get it. This is where my little spice of advice comes in, and it's really going to help you out because it helped me out. So with box braids, like I said, the synthetic fibers that you have in your hair, you know, they rub up against your hair, they cause friction, it's dry, like you can feel it, very dry, and that is not what is going to promote healthy hair growth. So the environments that promote healthy hair growth is an environment that is moisturized and that is able to breathe. Okay, so partly our scalp is doing very well with this hairstyle, and it's going to benefit a lot because it's able to breathe. We're able to tug, we're able to have some movement going on in our scalp, which definitely stimulates hair growth. If you know, if you do scalp massages, that is stimulating your scalp. It's pulling, it's having some movement there. So that's why the braids are great, but it is not being moisturized. The environment that your hair is in, these synthetic fibers, is not very well suited for hair growth. So this is what you do. This is how I grew my natural hair. So when it comes to growing your natural hair in box braids, I say about a day, what I did was I grabbed a spray bottle, your handy dandy spray bottle. And what you're going to do is you're going to kind of dampen your hair. So what this does is it puts back in moisture into your natural hair. So this is just kind of how I do it every night or every other night, or even in the morning. Like, it doesn't have to be soaking wet, but you need it to be just a nice hint of mist, like just a slight moisture feel to kind of get that back into your hair, because your hair is very dry when you put it in box braids. So what I do is I go ahead and I mist my hair just like this. And honestly, you don't have to, you know, do too much, because you know you don't want to walk around with wet hair. But that's what I would do for this side, and then I would come over to this side and I would mist my hair. So this is just a dry run on how I would do things, right? And you don't have to go down the lengths. It doesn't make sense to moisturize down here because that's fake, right? You kind of know where your hair lies, and that's where you want to hit. I know you might have seen a lot of people say go ahead and apply oil to kind of lock that in, but I wouldn't, because again, you have to remember that your goal is to grow your natural hair, but it's kind of in this environment of synthetic fibers that is not the best. So if you were to go ahead and put oil on your braids, you're actually going to kind of create a environment for dirtiness, okay? So, you know, putting oil and greases on the lengths of your braids is going to create one, product buildup, because again, like I said, the whole key is moisturizing, and I want you to do that every other day or so, or maybe even every morning. Just kind of get a feel. I would start off with every other day. But if you're then, after you're doing that, you're going to put oil on your hair, you have to understand that when you go back and moisturize the next day, it's blocking that moisture from coming in, and it's also collecting dirt, right? You see where I'm going with this? You don't want to add oil onto the lengths of our hair. So after we go ahead and we moisturize our braid, you have to understand what is in my spray bottle. So what's in my spray bottle is, of course, water. And the next thing you want to do is get like a moisturizer. So the moisturizer that I'm using is this one, and it really helps to hydrate and improve shine, manageability, and it helps optimize the pH and kind of like whatever. I just really like this one because it is not so heavy. So again, growing your hair in braids can be kind of like a tug of war a little bit because it has to be a nice balance. You want your hair to be moisturized, okay, but then you don't want it to be too much going on because, you know, you want it to be kind of light. You don't want to walk around with wet hair, and you don't want to walk around with a whole bunch of oil in your hair where you have all this dust accumulating on your braids. So after you go through and moisturize your braids, you got your moisturizer that's light. I go in and I just take a little bit, rub it together, and I put it in my hair. So a moisturizer over oil is gonna be your best bet, okay? So right now, I just moisturized my hair. So that is the first step that I do to grow my natural hair in braids. So like that's the routine, right? So now let's talk about the scalp because of course that's going to be a part of this hair growth process, okay? So the things that I use on my scalp is, of course, my Mr. Blue Magic, okay? So this Mr. Blue Magic is probably one of my favorites. One, I love the smell, and I just love that it has shea butter, jojoba oil, and tea leaves. So this is the one that I use. You use whatever one that works for you. Whatever scalp stimulant that you have, whatever scalp oil that you have that you like is perfectly fine. One thing that I also learned was to also get my scalp just a little bit damp, because when you go in with oils or greases, you know, you're kind of sealing something in. You know what I'm saying? So if you're putting these oils and greases on your scalp without moisturizing, you're just kind of sealing in like dryness. And like I said, that goes towards, you know, dirt kind of accumulating there, and we don't want that. So what I do, grab my little spray bottle again, and I just try to mist it just a little bit on my scalp, especially the back. Just a little bit. Just getting my scalp. Now, as you can see, I did my scalp and the lengths of my braid at 2 different times, okay? Because I didn't want to rush the process, and I really wanted you guys to understand the difference between the two. So after I did that, I'm rubbing in the little bit of water that I have on my scalp, and then I'm gonna go in with my Mr. Blue Magic. And like I said, this is not a drawn out process. It doesn't take all day, but to do it, there's benefits of it. So rubbing the Mr. Blue Magic on my hands, and then I go through like this. That is how I moisturize my scalp with my braids, okay? Rubbing it on the tips of my fingers, and I go through. All in the back, just going like this, all throughout your hair. And the focus is your scalp. So making sure the tips of your fingers are on your scalp and not on braids is the whole deal. That's the whole point. So that is how I went ahead and I learned how to grow my hair in braids. They could be box braid, knotless braids, it doesn't matter. Whatever style that you are rocking, whether it's box braids or knotless braids, this is a sure proven method to growing your natural hair in braids. So that is how I did it. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. And if you made it all the way this far, make sure you hit that like button and that subscribe button. And you know I will see you lovelies in the next one. Bye.